It's been a busy year, but I found time to read a number of great books. Here's a few I think you might enjoy. Evicted by Matthew Desmond. It's a brilliant book in terms of a sense of the chaos when you get evicted and they put your stuff out on the curb. The intertangled issues of mental health, drug abuse. It made me want to really understand the various government programs a lot better. You get a really good picture of how it's a very tough life. The Sympathizer by Viet Thanh Nguyen. It's a book about the Vietnam War. He writes about this extremely conflicted person who works for the Vietnamese army, but is a communist agent. There's this person who is a traitor and a murderer, and the whole messiness and futility is represented by the main character.
Most Americans, the history of the Vietnam War was told, but mostly by American writers, like you mentioned earlier. So I'm just curious that how important was it, for you to give Americans another point of view on the war and on the Vietnamese people?
Mm-hmm. Very important. Not just American books, but American politics, American presidents, American movie makers. They've all been telling this war from their perspective.
Yes, yes.
And this book is an argument against that. This book most of this book is about Vietnamese people, about the North and the South, communist, anti-communist, Buddhist, Catholic. And so the basic point of the book is, this was our war, this is our history. We have to tell it from our point of view. And the Americans, they're important, but they're the bystanders in our history. And the book is also my revenge on American culture. I mean, I don't know if you grew up watching like Apocalypse Now or any of these kinds of movies. I watched a lot of these movies, and I love war movies, but at a certain point you watch these movies and you realize the Vietnamese people are the ones getting killed. Who am I supposed to applaud for? And so there's a very long section of the book that deals with the making of a movie like Apocalypse Now, but from our point of view, and it's a satire. It's a comic novel about that.
So when you mentioned that part, what was the reaction of the readers who can totally see a better picture after reading this book and recognize that, especially Hollywood producers and directors are like, oh shoot, that was wrong of us. Yeah. Did they reach out to you and say, sorry, Viet?
Not yet.
Not
but
yet.
I think that part of the novel really resonates with a lot of Americans because they understand that that's what actually is happening. When you point it out to them, they're like, that's right. We've made some terrible movies about this. And one of the points of the book is that typically it's the victors who write history. But in the case of the Vietnam War, it's the losers who wrote the history. The Americans lost the war, but they get to write the history. And, all the Vietnamese of all sides are excluded or marginalized in that American history.
Did you ask your parents for any sort of tips or advice or stories prior to writing this book?
No.
You just want to have a very neutral mind?
Yeah, but my parents, they don't like to talk about the past.